Vagabond is, well, amazing. So, as you can tell from the title, in this video, I'm going to be talking about my first impressions of the manga, Vagabond. So, I'm currently 35 chapters in. I just finished the Kyoto arc, so I'm 2 arcs into the series, and I was going to make the first impressions video at chapter 50, but that's in like the middle of an arc, and I was just like, well, I really want to talk about this, and I'm 35 chapters in, so might as well just make a video about it. So, I'll probably do more Vagabond videos in the future, but this is just what I'm going to do for now. So this manga is, like I said, fantastic. I think the number one selling point for this manga is obviously its art. There are just times where I'm reading through and I see a panel and I just have to step back and look like, oh my god, I'm just blown away that there's a human being alive that could draw something like that. The art is phenomenal. I'm gonna try to throw up some panels on screen to show you how good it is. A lot of those full page ones are really, really good. And one of the benefits that this phenomenal art provides is its ability to convey emotion of characters through the actual, not only emotion of characters, but the atmosphere in the situation in the panel to you. And I think that's something that's really, really important in the manga format. With anime, you have people's sound, you can have music and things like that to convey on top of the animation, but with the manga, it's all you have is the art to try and convey that. And if you can convey emotion in the manga itself, I think that's a really, really important thing. And I can just tell, its characters, if it's a super tense situation, the exact emotions. And I think that's something that's really, really important, and that just makes the story so much more immersive, and it just makes the manga so good. The story itself, just beyond the art and everything, is also really, really good. I think at first it does a really good job of hooking you in, and it's sort of a historical fiction, so it provides at the end of the volume, it provides a background on the time frame. It's 16th century Japan, and it's a sort of 16th century Japan, and it's a lot to do with sword fighting. And I think that is a really cool way of going about the sort of power system, because I don't know if it's not a power system, but that's what I like about it, because in a lot of other you might see shonen, they have to sort of build out this power system and explain different aspects, and it can get really, really complicated. But sword fighting is something that I think everybody knows about. You fight with swords, but there's still that sort of depth to it, and it provides a lot of really, really cool fights. I know, as someone who's a Naruto fan and does a lot of Naruto videos on this channel, one of the things that everybody loves in Naruto is the hand-to-hand combat, and I think because of the way it's sort of choreographed, and I think the choreography of the fights in Vagabond itself are very, very well done. This is actually my first manga I've actually ever started reading from start, and I probably will read to start to finish. So it was kind of hard to keep up with the fights at first, because I'll have to be okay, so in this one panel, this dude's facing this way with this sword, and then the other panel he's doing this. But the fights itself are very, very appealing, and the story itself is very appealing. I think it does a really good job of keeping you hooked in, being okay, let me read the next chapter, let me read the next chapter. And I think part of the reason the story is so good is because of the way it establishes the main character in the first arc itself. The first arc is fun. The main character goes through a phenomenal first arc. I think it's chapter 22, if I'm not remembering correctly. It was probably my favorite chapter because of the way it dives into the psychology of the main character itself. I'm not gonna try to pronounce his name, because I'm probably gonna pronounce it wrong. But I think it's Musashi. It's wonderful the way he develops through that whole first arc, and that chapter 22, it just breaks into tears. Is amazing. The one thing that I kind of struggle with in this manga, more so than any other series I've watched, is the fact that I kind of have a hard time keeping track of the characters, because maybe it's just the way, maybe it's something that other people experience as well, but sometimes I'm a little confused. Wait, who is this character again? And then I have to try and remember and try to piece together the characters, especially some of the more obscure characters that show up really early on, and then they come back 25 chapters later. I think it's part of the reason is because it's so fast paced. You can rip through a chapter in 5 minutes with really no problem at all. And I think manga reading itself is a lot faster, and I think sometimes I feel bad when I read a chapter really fast, because I feel I'm not enjoying it enough, and I'm not appreciating the art enough. Because I can't imagine how much time it takes to draw that art, and I'm just ripping through it in 5 seconds. But the story itself is really, really good. I think that not only is like the main character itself good, but the supporting cast is really, really good. The second arc does a really good job of building on the the supporting character. I believe his name is Marahachi. So yeah, it is a really good job building out his character and his sort of like what the underlying premise and sort of flaw in his human character is going to be, and how he's going to develop in the story from that. The same thing is established in the first arc with the main character, and I think both those are done really, really well in a way that I think will set up the story in a really, really good way. Another character I want to quickly touch up on is Takwan. I believe it's the monk tutor. His name is whatever you pronounce it. I think he just adds a really cool touch to the story, and the way he sort of his sort of like relationship with Musashi is really, really cool. And I also think he provides very cool comedic relief to the story in some things. In a lot of aspects, whenever he's on, like when he first shows up, and then sort of the later chapters where I am right now, he provides a lot of funny moments, which I think just keeps the tone of the story kind of lighthearted at times, which I think is really important for like like it's kind of like how in relationships you want people to be like, you want to have fun at times, but you also want to have like you want to also be able to be serious with people. Same sort of thing. I think it's really cool when a manga can also be lighthearted and be entertaining and funny, but also at the same time have moments where it's very, very serious. So that's just a really cool aspect of the story that I also really appreciate. So overall, this manga is, well, fantastic, and I think someone who is coming from like a Naruto background into like Naruto's a very different protagonist from and sort of a series, but at the same time, I think if I can really enjoy the series, I think anybody really can. So I think anybody should read this series. I think it's phenomenal, and overall, I really don't have much bad to say about it. But yeah, it's a phenomenal story. It's phenomenal art. It's really, really good manga right now. But that's all I have for my first impressions of Vagabond for today. If you watched it till the end, I hugely appreciate it, and I hope you have a splendid rest of your day. Peace.